afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Sports Wave Network and the Sports Corner with the Conn Man. I am your host, the Conn Man. And I have with me a very special guest, good friend of mine. He goes by the name of Dan Savage, who happens to be the head women's coach at the College of Southern Nevada. How you doing, my friend?
Man, it has been a minute, my friend.
Yeah, a minute.
Ev- Everything's great, man. Just out here in Las Vegas, living my life, and things are good. Things are good.
I know they are. First of all, I want the viewers to know I want to thank you publicly for having me uh, do the commentating for the Boston Frenzy. I had
Ah,
it was a great time. We'll talk about that later. Now,
okay.
Dan, sure what I usually like to have my guests do is talk about their journey, talk about their grind, and how it all began, how it all started. I'm sure the viewers will be very interested in finding out a little bit more about you.
Wow, man, what a story. I'll try to take the 5 hour version and give it to you in 2 minutes. So basketball, just I don't know, kind of in my blood, grew up and born. My dad and my brother both played basketball, so I just grew up watching. Obviously, my brother didn't watch my dad. My dad played for the Bourne High team that went to the state finals and played in the Boston Garden in 1959. So, and he was the leading scorer in that game. So this basketball is just kind of always what we did. My brother's team had a pretty good team, and I was the water boy. He was 4 years older than me, so I just had always been around basketball as a player. High school had a good team as well. Went junior college, played basketball at Becker College, ended up being the captain there. At one point, we were ranked eighth in the country. Then went on and played at Worcester and Salem. Had an injury my senior year, so didn't end up playing, broke my ankle. From that point on, it was almost like coaching right off the bat. And I ended up, after college, ended up moving to Vegas. And heading back to when I got back to Bourne, I picked up the JV girls coaching job. And it was
Mm-hmm.
probably the last thing on my mind is coaching JV girls. Like it just, it was, what was it, 94, 93. And I absolutely loved it. Had a lot of success at Bourne. I was there for I think 7 years and moved back to Vegas and connected with Joe Jellybean Bryant and Kobe's dad. And it's kind of crazy how it happened because it was similar to this. He was on the radio, a local radio station here in Vegas, and he basically said, if anybody wants to help mop sweep the floor, sell tickets, help, we're looking for help. And I called right away,
Mm-hmm.
and 3 days later I'm his assistant coach in the minor leagues. And he was such a great guy. He just passed recently. Ended up being a big part of my coaching journey and my life journey. He was a bit of a father figure for me. My dad had passed away when I was young, but we got to work together out here. I was his assistant. And then when I got the Boston Frenzy and the ABA, I hired him as our head coach and a great play-by-play guy. We had a fun time. It was short-lived, but I had a blast in Boston. Um, from there, got back out to Vegas and coached high school. I was lucky enough to coach my daughter for 4 years in high school out here, and
Wow.
then get to coach my son for 3 years. So I coached 7 years out here, and get to coaching your kids is it can be tough, but it's super rewarding. And looking back, we all, love the journey of being able to coach my kids. And I had semi-retired from coaching to watch both of my kids play in college. They both played out in California, and CSN, where I'm at now, College of Southern Nevada, was starting a brand new program. They have sports here, but they didn't have basketball. And the coach that they originally hired asked me to help. And I'm like, no, I'm retired. No, I'm retired. And finally, on like the eighth ask, I said yes. And it happened quick. I came in as like a strength and conditioning coach. And 2 weeks later, I was assistant coach. And a month later, I was the associate head coach. And a year later, I was the head coach. And so I've been here ever since. And we took a program from nothing, and we're having a good year. We had a phenomenal year last year. And so that's where I'm at. Started as a JV coach at Bourne High School, and now I'm uh coaching here in college in Vegas.
Now, explain to the viewers what the transition was from being a high school coach to becoming a head women's coach in college.
I'm going to tell you, I've run the same stuff no matter what level I've been at. I did coach in between there. I coached 8 years in the semi-pro level men, 2 years semi-pro level women in between all that.
Mhm.
And I can tell you, I actually we had a game. I had a player, a former player of mine, 7 footer. His name's Trevor Lawrence. He played at New Mexico and played for the Globetrotters, and he played semi-pro for me. And he was in town, and it's all my players love it when my former players come in. And he comes in and I'm like, hey, Trev, tell him about I run Z and Big East and 33. And he's like, oh, yeah, I've run the same thing, no matter if it's high school, if it's college, if it's men, if it's women, if it's pro, it doesn't matter. I think if you have an identity as a coach, you can get your players to buy into what you do. So the transition for me has always been pretty easy. I would say going back to 93, 94, when I first started coaching girls basketball, the players now are phenomenal. I mean, not just the Caitlin Clarks I mean, my players here they just play at such a high level. The ability that they have makes it fun to coach. But transitioning from high school to semi-pro to college, the only thing different here is the emphasis I have on culture and grades because they're at a JUCO trying to get to a 4 year. And without being a good culture kid and without having good grades, doesn't matter how good you are. It's going to limit your ability for me to get you to the next level. So I think that's really the main transition is we're dealing with the overall student athlete here. It's not about winning games. Winning games is the absolute last thing on my mind. And I know that sounds crazy, but if we do step one, step two, step three, step four, we're going to win games. So we're more focused on the steps, and the results that we get are a direct result of how we do those steps, if that makes sense.
And you have been rewarded. You've gotten received some pretty interesting honors, some very
Yeah.
well deserved
Yeah.
honors. I mean,
Yeah, I did. Yep.
talk about
I got a national coach of the week last year, which felt pretty good. I was named the Coyote Coach of the Year of all the coaches here at CSN last year, and just the basic stuff. And again, just like every good coach, these players, if they don't buy in and do the things I ask them to, none of that happens, right? I mean, last year we had some really, really good players. I had 5 sophomores, and the JUCO level. This is their last year. Um, One went to Utah Tech and is killing it right now. She's a shooting guard. One went to Siena in upstate New York, and part of the MAC, and she's the starting point guard at Siena. I had one go to Austin P in Tennessee. I had
ooh,
one go to Augustana, which is a D2 in South Dakota, and I had one girl who's playing at the University of the Philippines. So all 5 of my sophomores last year all got full rides. They all got full rides, and to me, that's just what I focus on. So the results as a coach getting awards is, yeah, there's coaching involved. But you're not. I don't think you're a good coach if you don't recognize that your players are doing the work out there on the court, making me look good.
exactly. Now, what do you feel? I guess how do I want to put this? As far as do you actually recruit, or do they just come to you, or can you
So
explain that
yeah,
process?
it's a great question. And my situation here is different than every other junior college in America. And there's over 300, I think it's over 400 junior colleges in America, right? So I have a very unique rule here. So when they added sports here, the president of the school wanted us to be a true community college. Vegas is a pretty big city, right? And growing like crazy. So our president mandated that 80% of our roster has to be local. No other community college in America has to do that. So,
Wow.
like the team we play tomorrow, Arizona Western, they only have 2 Americans. The rest of their team is international players. I don't have that luxury. I also don't have scholarships. We're a Division 1 JUCO. Every team we play, almost every team, has 12 to 15 scholarships and dorms and stipends and all the bells and whistles. I have none of it. I have no scholarships. I have no dorms. I have no. stipends, and I have to be 80% local. So recruiting, I have to be on my game. Um, I recruit character and grades first, and the ability to play and the desire to get better second. Most of my kids that come in straight from high school, they're not ready to play college ball. That's my job. I got to get them ready. My assistant coaches, we got to get them ready. So my recruiting is done 80% here locally. I have 3 players signed for next year. Um, Already ready, super excited. I got a good group that'll be coming back next year. And it's hard to talk about next year, but recruiting is happening right now. Like we're in the
Right.
midst of our schedule, but I do get 5 to 7 inquiries probably a week, minimum 5 to 7 from all over the world. Because what JUCO kid wouldn't want to come to Vegas? I mean, we have the Aces. I mean, it's Vegas. It's like, if you're going to go play college ball, why wouldn't you want to come to Vegas? And with our
Mm.
recent success over the last few years, now not only is it Vegas, and all those things, but we're winners and we're winning and we're getting kids to colleges and we got a huge spotlight on us right now. So, and this is only our fourth full year as a program. Like we're still a new and growing program. Some of these teams we play, like Salt Lake and College of Southern Idaho, and these teams have been around for 50, 60 years, and we're in year 5. So the recruiting gets better every year. After a successful year last year, I got more kids wanting to come to me, which makes recruiting fun.
That's great. You know something too, Dan? Talk about the success you have had. Talk about it.
Like what? On the court?
Yep. Hmm.
Well, yeah. So, again, I when I took over the program the first year, they were 0-16. It was during COVID. It was understandable. New program.
Right.
Not a lot of time to recruit. Everybody's wearing masks. The state of Nevada is shut down.
Wow.
So we're playing teams from Idaho and Utah and Colorado that's not shut down. So they're getting to practice every day and they're getting to host home games. We couldn't because, it's COVID. Our governor said, shut it down. It's Vegas. It's like, so that first year was difficult for the head coach. They went 0-16. I got it the next year and we've just increased every year. Again, my goal wasn't always wins and losses. It's getting kids to the next level. I had a girl, Destiny Brown. She was an All-American. She had 41 Division I offers after our first season here, and that opened a lot of eyes that you can come to CSN and get. And she had Texas Tech and Oklahoma State and Utah and all these schools calling, and so that was kind of the beginning of what can happen coming to CSN. And now success-wise, meaning record, last year was it. We started the year 17-0. We were number 1 in scoring for more than half the year. Same this year. We were averaging 101 points a game in college. Women's basketball is we
Woo.
just go. We just go. We run, we let it fly. I had the number 1 and number 3 top 3-point shooters in the country, both on the same team. So last year was special. We only lost to 3 teams, and 2 of the teams we lost to, we beat them the second time around. So that put us on the map. Again, a team that was 3 years earlier they were 0-16. We went 25 and 4, 25 and 5 last year. So that kind of helped us. And this year, we are 12-3 right now. We're in a very difficult conference. We actually switched conferences, and the team we play tomorrow, Arizona Western, I believe is ranked 12th in the country, and they're 13-1. So we play big dogs every night this time of year.
That's incredible. That is a true testament to you and your staff. And of course, you need the players, but you had to develop them, and that's a true testimony to what you've accomplished thus far.
I
What
appreciate it.
What do you feel? I mean, you've already explained. You don't give scholarships. What would you tell a young person that might be interested in going to the College of Southern Nevada? And you're going to tell them, look, you don't have a scholarship, you don't have dorms. What are you going to do to entice and
Yeah.
have them become interested in going to your school?
Yeah, I love that. So when I get in contact with kids that we think can play at this level or start the recruiting process, one of the first things I do is I beg them to please talk to my former players. Because if you're secure in your program, your former or current players are your best recruiters. And the kids that I'm recruiting that do that, it's almost a guarantee they're going to come here because I don't ask my current players to make stuff up. And it's not always rainbows and butterflies,
Right.
but the reality is, to me, I want their experience to be here more important than the 30 games we play. Whether we go 15 and 15 or 30 and 0 or 0 and 30, well, hopefully not 0 and 30, but I want that overall experience to be something that they talk about forever. And to be fair, not to be fair, but almost every single kid that I just named from last year, they just, they reach out all the time. I talked to my point guard last year. She's like, "Oh, I just miss CSN." Like, and so I think it's a combination of basketball and the experience, like what you set up as an experience. And I believe that my coaching style, I used to be really rough and tough and cuss and swear and kick and throw things because that's what I grew up on, right? My JUCO coach, he's pretty physical with us. And I had to learn probably about 10 years ago that that's not how I want to coach. I don't feel good coaching that way. So I'm a
Right.
very player friendly coach, and my players will run through a wall for me, not because they're afraid of me. And it's really this Gen Z and this age group, they need to feel that level of uh that their coach believes in them and supports them and is there and has got their back. And you get so much. And I've had to change, man. 94 to now, things change. How you talk to players change. How you deal with players changes. And don't get me wrong, my players know it happened in practice 2 days ago. When I'm mad, they're scared for their life because,
Right.
but
Right.
I, but I don't get mad often because they know why you do what you're supposed to do, and we're just going to go. Like, I don't spend a lot of time conditioning, doing lines and suicides and all that stuff. We condition with a ball. I want to condition with a ball. I want to play. And that was a Jelly Bean thing. Jelly Bean used to have practice. We'll do positional stuffs, bigs and guards, and go over some stuff, and then we'll play a game to 100. First one to 25, we take a quick water break. Next one to 50, we take a quick water break. He wanted to condition playing the game, and I always remember that. So I like to condition. I don't like stopping and yelling and screaming. So uh, that word gets out that you're going to love playing for Coach Savage and his staff. My assistants are right there with me. So I think my style for recruiting is very player friendly. And when they get here, it doesn't change. And that's something that my son got recruited to play. He was talking to a couple schools out of high school, and where he ended up going was it was not what they sold it as. And I remember as a parent how much that pained me because
Right.
we thought we were going to get this big picture, and we got there and everything was the opposite.
Wow.
So when I recruit, I tell them exactly who you're talking to in this process: parents, kids, players, coaches, exactly who you're talking to, and how I talk is how it's going to be. Again, of course, I'm going to coach, I'm going to bark, and I'm going to do my thing, but I'm not going to change when you get here. I'm not going to sell you something and then change it. And I think being genuine as a recruiter and just being honest and creating that relationship has helped me get some pretty good recruits.
Now, can you discuss your facilities and you guys have a good turnout and things of that nature?
Man, so again, this school, the campus that I'm on right here is 55 years old, which for New England isn't that bad, right? That's fairly
Right.
new, right?
Right.
But for out here in Vegas, that's an old facility. So we're playing in a rec center that was never built for college basketball, right? The rec center holds about 200 people. Now, that's small, it's tiny. When we play against teams like Salt Lake, their gyms hold 8,000 people, right? When you go to those gyms, yeah, you look around, it's beautiful, but they only have 100, 200 people there. It's empty. Our gym is small, but it's full. And when it's full, it's loud. So we did just get a brand new gym floor last year, $400,000 brand new floor. It's a shooter's gym. It's a beautiful gym, but it's tiny. So we're working on weight rooms. It's an evolution for basketball. Our baseball team out here um, is nationally ranked. They were fifth last year, and they ended up fifth. We've had like 11 players in the pros, and I don't know if you know this or if your listeners know this, but do you know who our most famous alumni is, Coach? Do you have any idea on the baseball side? CSN's most famous alumni. Any guesses? Did I lose you?
Yeah, I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna come right back on. So you tell your story to the viewers. I gotta
Oh,
go and come back on.
gotcha. Okay. So CSN is a very heavy baseball school, and we have one of the best players in the major leagues. Bryce Harper played here at CSN, and so our baseball program is top notch. Coach Nick, we have I want to say over 11 players that played in the major league. So our facilities out there are phenomenal, but it's taken years to get there, right? So basketball, we're excited to get started again, fifth full year. Um, our facilities at some point is gonna, we're gonna require a bigger facility, but as of right now, we love what we have. And we like the same thing, not having scholarships or not having dorms is it gives our players a little bit of an edge, right? So makes us play a little tougher and scrap a little harder. So I'm happy with our facility. I got a beautiful office here. Um, and our head coach Mike Lee just popped his head in, and you know we like what we have, we love it. We take full ownership on it, but um, at some point soon, I know our AD school presidents, they're going to make a push for an indoor facility to house men's and women's basketball, volleyball, and potentially be able to do some non-sports related things. So that's a little bit about our facilities. You back on? I can't see. Doesn't sound like it. Let's see if we're still on. We still live? I think we are. I got it. I'll take it from here. And while we're waiting for the con man to get back on, we will talk a little bit about how him and I met is years ago working the UMass camp over with Brian Baptiste and Len Desitals. I think that's the first time Mike and I met. And then, of course, Mike officiating and Burgo League and different places and throughout. And then, of course, when we got the Boston Frenzy, Mike was my guy, our play-by-play guy. We were on local AM radio out there in New Bedford, and had a fun little run. Minor league basketball can be challenging, and it was a short run, but it was fun. We had a bunch of and one guys, and of course, New Bedford legends Marcus Hauptman and Marcus. Wait a minute, Marcus Hauptman. It was the two Marcuses, right? Um, got to get them to come play in front of their local fans, and Marcus Wills, Marcus Hauptman, and brought some and one guys in and brought some guys from Vegas, and of course Jelly Bean, and we had a fun time. It was a fun year. It was a tough league to be in. The ABA at that time kind of expanded a little too fast, too quickly, and it was a lot of growing pains, and it's tough to survive in that atmosphere. But yeah, that's how Mike and I and got connected at that point. So and now I'm here in Vegas and try to get back to the Cape. I'm originally, like I said, from Bourne, Buzzards Bay, and try to get back to the Cape as much as we can. Usually once a summer. I think we're going to try to get back next year. But at the college level, summers are pretty busy. I hear you. You back?
Yeah, I think so. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, I tried to hold down the fort.
Oh man is back in the building. I heard you talk. I heard you talking a little bit about how we met at
Yeah,
UMass with
yeah.
the basketball camp. We had a blast.
Oh yeah,
We definitely had a good time. And you were mentioning about some of the local players like Marcus Wills and
yep,
Marcus Holtman.
yep,
If we can, because this is very, I don't know if the viewers, they're going to be shocked. Tell the viewers how it all began with the Boston Frenzy. How did that originate? Talk
yep.
about that. I'm sure they're going to really be interested in hearing this.
Yeah. Well, it's a pretty cool story. The ABA, like I said, is a tough league, and it's a big part of my history personally. But there's some tough times. It's hard. Minor league basketball is hard as an owner, as a coach, as a player. It's a grind, and the ABA was. So here's how it started. When I originally worked with Jelly Bean, the ABA had 7 teams. And they had so when the ABA and the NBA merged in the 70s, there was a 50-year non-compete. So the ABA had to go away for a minimum of 50 years. When that non-compete lapsed, the ABA made a comeback and they came back with 7 teams, only one on the East Coast. It was the Newark Express out of New Jersey. The other teams were like Long Beach, Las Vegas, Kansas City in the Midwest, Fresno, Tijuana, Juarez. There was 2 Mexico teams, and the level of play was out of this world. I mean, it was basically like Paul Shirley, who played for the Chicago Bulls, Joe Crispin from Penn State, Matt Barnes before he got his 10-day with the LA Clippers, his original 10-day, he was in the ABA. I mean, the ABA was the place to play when there were 7 teams. Then they expanded, and they just expanded way too fast. And they went from 7 teams to like 50. So they wanted to get teams
Wow.
everywhere, and it just happened too fast. But
Hmm.
I seized the opportunity and bought the Boston market. And I didn't know where we were going to play. I originally our first option was to play at UMass Boston. That was where we wanted to play first because we did want to be the Boston Frenzy, right? So pretty crazy story. I had I can't remember his name. You might remember it, refresh my memory. The AD over at UMass Boston. Um, can't remember his name. He's an icon. He's a legend.
Charlie
Uh,
Titus.
Titus. Yep, Titus. So I
Yep.
go in, he doesn't know me from a hole in the wall, and I'm sitting here trying to sell him an ABA dream, and he was kind of looking at me, and we walked through, and he was just kind of like, we're gonna pass. Like, sounds good, but it's the ABA. And I'm like, okay, I understand. I appreciate your time. Good conversation. And so we end up connecting with UMass Dartmouth. Now, yeah, it's South Shore. It's not technically Boston, but we kept the Boston name. And we worked with UMass, and it ended up being a pretty good situation. So Jelly Bean gets the head coaching job. Of course, I'm going to hire. He's my guy.
Right.
So, and he actually calls me up and says, "Throw my name in the hat." I'm like, "We don't throw your name in the hat. You're the coach. Are you kidding me? That's it. You're done. We don't. There's no interviews. I was your assistant. Like, let's go." And of course, Kobe's still in the league, and Joe's a Philly guy, and bringing a Bryant to Boston, and it all was fun. So I pick up Joe at the airport. And I say, Joe, I want to bring you by UMass Boston because I love the gym. I love the location right on the water. I said, let
Right.
me just show you where I wanted to play because we just picked him up at Logan. It's right there. So luckily the doors were open and I'm just walking Joe through the gym. I didn't have permission or whatever. And we're walking through the gym and Joe was like, man, what a beautiful gym. And out comes Charlie Titus, right? Charlie Titus.
Yes. Yes.
And Titus comes in, kind of sees me, and he's like, coach, we're going to pass. And then he goes, wait a minute. Is that Joe? Is that Joe Bryant? And I go, here we go. And they went to college together. They were college, they might have been teammates. Whatever it was, they knew each other. And of course, Titus says, why didn't you tell me he was the head coach? I would have had you guys. And I'm like, well, we're already contracted now down at UMass. So that's kind of how we got to Boston. And I did the same thing. I wanted it to be a local team, so we wanted to get local players. Already had a relationship with Houtman and Wills, especially Marcus Houtman. We had played a lot with and against each other, not too much of an age different. And of course, Wills was Marcus Wills. So got those guys local. We got some other local. Troy Brown from Troy's a legend himself. We had Troy Brown, man in the four, Llewellyn Cole from PC, and we wanted to get some local guys, Daniel Delgado, and then we brought in some the and one guys, and so I had connected with some of the and one guys. We brought in Helicopter and Spider and Prime Objective, and you know some ticket sellers, but they can hoop. A lot of people didn't realize the and one guys back then, like John Humphrey, played at Middle Tennessee. He's an unbelievable basketball player. He just happened to be able to jump and got on the N1 tour. So that's kind of how we got to Boston. We lasted a year. Um, the thing that killed us in Boston, the straw that broke our back was we were supposed to play the Philadelphia Fusion on a Saturday, and they didn't show up. And we had pretty good crowds up until then. Um, we had some New England Patriots cheerleaders. Our first game against Harlem was awesome. I mean, it wasn't a sellout, but it was dang near close. UMass Dartmouth. That gym was packed. So we had a nice following. Things were going well, And then it was like halfway through the season, the team didn't show up. And when that happens, you lose all credit. Everything fell apart. We had a bunch of fans in there to watch the game and had to send everybody home. So that was kind of the downfall of the ABA. But I loved it. That was a big, fun time for me. Made some great connections. Got to get people like yourself involved, and it was good. It was a fun time. I don't want to say I wish it would have ended better, but the ABA has an expiration date. You just it's difficult to make something out of nothing, and but so I was proud of what we did, and we had fun. Some good. You called the games. I mean, was that not some talent out there? That was some
It
fun
was
games.
off the hook. I mean, the talent level. I mean, we had. I mean, top of the top. I remember the practices when
Mm.
Coach Bryant then would have all kind of people come. We had one guy was 7'7", if I recall.
Yeah,
Am I
Neil
correct?
Fingleton. Yeah, Neil Fingleton. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you
So
had so much talent, and my play-by-play guy Pat Riley, he
Pat
was great to
Riley.
work with, and we had a
Yeah.
ball. And like you said, that first game was damn near
Uh,
a sellout, and I
Overtime
mean
too.
the attention it brought, and the fact that you had Marcus Wills and
Yep.
Marcus Heltman, two local guys who
Yep.
have great high school careers and went on to play college ball at a high level, and for them to
Yeah.
come back home
Oh,
and
awesome.
play. So you did a great thing, and that's why I got you on the show to give you
Ah,
that flowers for what you've done
man.
for a lot
Appreciate
of us. I mean, look at the opportunities you gave us. Look at
it.
me.
Yeah.
Look what you did for me. Look what you did
Ah,
for Marcus Wills. Look what you did for Marcus Hum and everybody. Look what you did for the area to bring that type
yeah.
of talent.
Yeah,
And
it was
one,
fun.
we would never have gotten the and one crew to come down here.
I
You did
know
it
those
so
those
much.
guys were fun, and
And
they
I
were
want to give
hot
you
at the
your flowers.
time.
And that's why I wanted
Appreciate
you
it.
on the damn show.
Yeah. I appreciate it. Well, it takes a village. I was just a part. I had a little bit of a vision. My brother was a big help. Obviously, Joe bent over backwards. Joe Bryant's just, again, he just passed and it really crushed me. Just such a great guy. And you got to be around him. But yeah, those practices were amazing. Neil Fingleton, 7'7", played at Holy Cross, played high school at Holy Name, went to North Carolina, broke his back, transferred to Holy Cross, and then played with us. Shannon Crooks, point guard from UMass. Actually, that first game, and you called it, Shannon Crooks hit a three, got fouled to put us into overtime, a 4-point play. So local players, and of course, Wills and Heltman are legends. They didn't need it, but it was kind of cool. And Joe loved those two. He really did. He had a nickname he called Heltman Red, and um, what a cool thing for those guys get to play for Joe Jellybean Bryant. Like, some of the games we coached against Daryl Dawkins, and just it was a fun time. I liked everything about it, man. And having that local community was a plus. And getting guys like Steve Burgo in the gym, and all the local support was huge, man. So that was it brings a smile to my face, man. That was a lot of fun.
It definitely brings a smile to my face. And folks, uh, Jelly Bean Bryant was one of the nicest people I ever came across. He was a big man, but he had a soft heart, and
Yeah.
he was a joy to play. Tell them, because they may not believe me, tell them one time he got so upset that he stood up and played.
He
Tell them
did.
about that.
So, and actually, that was huge. So he ended up playing, I think, 3 games total, but he was really not happy with the level of play, and it wasn't even a little bit of the effort, but it was how they were playing. And he used to always say, "We got to play chess when they're playing checkers." Everybody's heard that, right? But Jelly Bean lived by that, and the guy played in the league, and his son's Kobe. I think he knows what he's talking about. So he was like, him and I had a lunch, and he said, "I got something to run by you," because I was the owner and GM. I said, "What do you got?" He said, "I want to play." And Joe was 48 or 49. He wasn't quite 50 yet. And I was like, "Yeah, let's go." Like, are you kidding me? That's number one, good publicity, all that. So the first game was in Harlem. I wasn't on that trip. My assistant GM went on that trip. So Joe was player coach, and Peter Vesey from Sports Illustrated showed up and did an article called Father Time. and Joe had 18 points in his first game. 18 points at 49 years old against young guns that were, and he just did it by playing chess. Is your feet are like this, he's attacking that way. You stand straight up, he's going to dip and go low. Like he was just, and he practiced almost every day. I actually have a video up on YouTube of him just cooking everybody at practice. Just he was a different level. But Joe, yeah, just man, just I don't know what to say. I still his family lives right down the street. One of my former players, Mike Tabb, who played at Temple, married his daughter, and just you know, uh, man, just an amazing family, and obviously have had quite a few tragedies of late. But yeah, I miss Joe. Miss Joe. He was even here at CSN. I'd call him up and we talk about my 1-3-1 defense is kind of like Jim Boeheim had his 2-3. My 1-3-1 is kind of what I do. And him and I would talk after games, and he'd send me messages to talk to my players before the games when we're on the road, like words of encouragement or whatever it is. So to have Joe Bryant doing that for your college is was amazing and sorely missed. After all these years, we stayed pretty close, but. Man, love that experience.
But, again, it was a great thing that you did for the local community. It was a great thing. And also, if I recall, didn't Moses Malone's son play as well?
He did. Moses Jr.
I, I,
So
I get the mention, but I do remember. I do remember a few things.
no, yeah, hey, listen, that's a great memory. So he only played a little bit. Joe actually told me, he said, "Hey, listen, I might be able to get us a pretty cool assistant coach." And I'm like, "Who?" He said, "Moses Malone." I'm like, "Well, let's go." Like, are you kidding me? And he said, "Let's take a look at his son." And I'm like, I got it. So, but his son played at, I want to say he played at South Carolina State, Moses Jr. And what's funny is he was quite a bit shorter than Moses, but could shoot it. But yeah, Moses Malone Jr. played on the team, I think 2 or 3 games, um, and then went to a different team. There's a lot of movement in players back then. But yeah, Moses Malone Jr. It was, I'm telling you, Celebrity Central. When I had that team here, then I had a team here in Vegas, and it's that was kind of my hook, is getting the and one guys, getting the local celebrities, the Houtmans, the Wills, players of the Mr. Basketball, and just kind of getting people that the local community wants to come see. So whenever you can drop a Moses Malone name, that was helpful.
That's a great. And something, Dan. I really don't want to really ask you too many questions because I'm giving you your flowers. Is there anything that you want to bring out that maybe I didn't bring out? Is there anything that you want to talk about? Anything? The floor is yours, my friend.
I don't know how many young players are tune into the show, but this could be a good point for parents of players. Is it's a story that we always hear and talk about, and it just happened to me in a recruiting trip 2 nights ago. Is I went to a game where I've already signed a player. She's 6'1". She's going to be great here. I was going to support her. She's already signed. She's already coming here, but I was going to support her. And she had a player, a teammate that I wanted to take a look at. And if I could tell a parent or a player, the old story, you never know who's in the crowd watching, is just play hard and play the right way. If you're a high school kid, if you're an AAU player, leave all the antics behind, because there was one player I was looking at and was strongly considering recruiting. And I left that gym like, there's not a chance. So just the little words of wisdom. We all hear it, but I live it, right? Is you're watching parents, you're watching how you interact with coaches, how you interact with referees and officials, how you interact with your teammate, how you interact with the other team. Like, and if you're trying to get a coach's eye, you got to make sure that you're very aware of how you act on that floor, because I left there going, not a chance. I'd say that's one thing. And then I can't overstate grades. Last year we had a 3.6 GPA, had 4 or 5 kids have 4.0s. This past semester I had 3 girls with 4.0s. Is education in athletics is going to open up a lot of opportunities. Um, Now, JUCO ball back east is a little different. It's almost all um, Division three, but there's some powerhouses: CCRI, um, Holyoke. Some of the schools have transitioned over to 4-year schools, but there's a school for every single player in America. So don't be caught up on where you play. Be caught up on if you can continue playing. That's another piece of advice I'd say is, Division One JUCO is most of our kids are D1 or D2 bound. But it doesn't matter. Play Division Three. I played at Becker College, who doesn't even exist anymore. COVID shut them down, and I had the time of my life. I went from being a six man at Bourne High School to the captain 2 years later at a JUCO. So, there's opportunities for everybody out there, but just be aware your actions speak volumes. I mean, it's a billboard for potential coaches to see. So just something to share.
And there's something too, David. Another thing, because I like to have my guests make an impact, and you obviously have with your words of wisdom. But what do you? Because we have a lot of viewers, and we have some young people who'll be tuning in as well. What do you tell them? Because a lot of high schools, they're the best at their high school,
Mm,
and now they're going to a college where they may not be the best.
yeah.
How do you uh, conduct? How do you handle yourself in that situation where these kids are coming and thinking they're all that, and then once they come to your program, it ain't that way?
Well, I'm going to give you both sides of that story because I believe both sides can be true. That's an absolute fact. Is I have, I currently have right now a couple players that were the best at their high school, and when I recruited them to have a developmental year. So you may not play, you may not travel, you may not even get a uniform, but the harder your work, the better you're going to get. And again, it's that honesty in recruiting. That's a hard pill to swallow. I had a player that was probably her best player in our high school, and in our game, our most recent game, she didn't get in the game. And so to go from being the best player to not playing, you got to have the right mentality. But I believe all that is set up in the recruiting in the beginning is I got to be honest with them. I can't say, hey, listen, you're going to come in, you're going to play, you're going to travel, you're going to do this if I don't know it for a fact. And I just don't sell playing time. It's all you got to come earn it. So you got to be prepared. I coached volleyball too. And here's a quick little story that kind of relates to it.
Okay.
Is I had a 6'3" center who a middle blocker in volleyball, and her dream was to go to BYU. And as a junior, she got offered by BYU. She graduated high school early and went. BYU, her freshman year, went to the national championship game. They played against Texas. So imagine this: your dream school is BYU. You get an offer. You go as a junior. What should be your senior year in high school, you're a freshman at BYU, playing volleyball, but not playing. But your team makes it to the national championship game on
Right.
ESPN. Like it's as big as it gets, but you don't play. The next year, they bring in somebody else and you don't play. And then she's done. She quits. So it's not always about going to the highest level. Go to the place where you're going to have the best experience. Yeah, you can fight for it. You can get better and you can do all that. But I've seen too many kids worry about the level and where they end up as opposed to the experience and playing because it's a sport we all want to play. So you got to know, like I said, I got a couple developmental kids. They've improved so much by practicing against D1 and D2 players in practice every day. So there's that. But I'm gonna tell you the other flip side is my starting center from our last game. The girl we were playing against has offers Cal, from Cal, from Clemson. I mean, this girl has like high D1 offers. And she's 6'3", 6'4". She's legit. And my starting center that played against her not only had no offers out of high school, she never played in high school, but I saw something in her. So she wasn't a kid that played a lot, but she had good size, good footwork, a lefty. She's Polynesian. We have a big poly community out here. Um, and so she came in from not playing in high school and just started against one of the top, probably the top post in America in JUCO, and played a great game and held her to 12 points. So the opposite is also true. Just because you didn't play in high school doesn't mean you can't find an opportunity. It's all about the effort you put in. Like I said, I didn't even start at Bourne High School, Division Three. When I got that opportunity to go JUCO, my brain went crazy. I was biking the Cape Cod Canal and jumping rope and shooting free throws, and I took that advantage. I took advantage of that opportunity and made the most of it and became captain. So you can be the best player. Doesn't mean you're going to be the best player when you get there, but you could be a role player in high school and end up being an impact player in college. So I think it kind of goes both ways.
I totally agree with you on that. Um, what do you feel is the best thing about being a coach, and maybe not the best thing about being a coach?
Oh, those are great questions. I, for a fact, the best thing about being a coach is the impact I have on young people's lives. Going back to coaching it, I coached at Bourne, I coached at DY, I coached at Falmouth, a lot of Cape schools, right? When I was back as a young teacher. Um, a lot of my biggest supporters now are my former players from the 90s. And that just reassures me that I'm doing the right thing. Is when you have former players from that long ago, that when we do a fundraising event, they're going to send in money, or they're going to support somehow, or they're going to whatever it may be. Um, I believe that I've been put in this role as a coach to be a strong male role model for young athletes in this current time of my life. It's young female athletes. um, some of them have great male role models in their life, and some of them don't. I'm not there to
Mhm.
replace anybody, but I'm there. I believe I'm here for my purpose is bigger than basketball, because we're so heavy on culture, and I know culture is a big buzzword for the last 10 years, but how we do one thing is how we do everything, and it's always polite. We treat the janitor, security, and secretaries as good or better than we treat the elite people, the presidents and the ads. So I believe that the best part is seeing my former players excel, not just on the court but also in life, and watching their life continue. I had one player that asked me, she doesn't have a relationship with her dad, and asked me to walk her down the aisle. I mean, it doesn't
Wow.
get any bigger than that. So that's my purpose. The
Wow.
toughest part is, you know, our men's team last night upset a nationally ranked team, and it was our coaches, our men's coaches. This is his second year, his first full year as coach, and he had such a big win. But it's hard to. It's gonna sound weird, but it's hard to really to keep your emotions in check when you have a big win. We're always fighting for the next thing, and that's a hard thing in coaching. Like I said, I'm in the middle of my season, but I'm recruiting for next year. So there's no end date in coaching. There just isn't. Is there an off season? Not really. There's not, right? We take like a week or two off, and then we get right back into skill training and weights and conditioning. So I think the hardest part of coaching is the grind, man. I have a couch over here in the back of my office, and I'm a college coach. Some nights I'm crashed out there because I'm up early, and it's a grind, and it can wear on a family. And you know, luckily both of my kids. This is something that I'm not sure if you know, but my daughter Brooklyn is 28, and she's an assistant coach for me, and she does all of our social media. Um,
Oh, wow.
and my son, who's 23, is now a volunteer coach. So he helps in games and practices. So I have my son and my daughter with me as two of my five coaches. Um, so that's a great thing. And my wife has been a basketball wife for many years. And it's tough on her sometime in our relationship sometimes, but the pros outweigh the cons. Like, she gets to know these young players and the families, and again, the impact is huge. Back when I was a high school coach, she was team mom, making sure these kids were taken care of. So, but it's a grind. That's the toughest part of being a college coach, is the amount of time you put in, especially the JUCO level. I'm doing laundry, and on at home games I do the laundry. Away games, whoever has the most turnovers does the laundry. Um, yeah, that's a rule. But it's a grind, man. It's a grind, but I love it. When this is absolutely not a job. It's insane that I get paid to do this.
You can tell you're so energetic, and I guarantee you, I want to go play for you, man. Just to hear the way
Let's go.
you express yourself, and
Yeah,
you know,
love the game. I love the game of basketball. It's a game.
you
I
got
love it.
to,
Love it.
because if you're going to be a coach and go through all the things you just stated, you got to love the game, and you've
Yeah,
been doing it
man.
for so long.
Yeah,
You got to love it. You got to love it.
love it.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You know, again, I just want you to give you your flowers. The show is seen all over the country, believe it or not,
Love it.
and
Love it.
sometimes I
Yeah.
don't know how. But anyway,
Good for you. That's
you
great.
know, I want to give you your flowers, and I just want you to be able to express anything that you want to express for the viewers. We got about a few more minutes because I know you're a
Okay.
busy man. But if you can maybe give some shout outs to people, this is
Yeah.
your time. I want to give
No,
you your flowers.
I appreciate it. Yeah. No, the saying "it takes a village" couldn't be truer. And like I just mentioned, having lucky to have my adult children around and my wife at the game, my brother who still lives in Buzzards Bay. We had a game last night, and I'm walking down the hallway before the game, and I had to do a double take. My brother flew in. He went to Logan, flew to Vegas to watch my game. Surprised me here in Vegas last night. So
Wow.
my brother lives in Buzzards Bay, and all of a sudden he actually texted and said, "Man, I wish I could see this team play in person." And he was right down the street. So, I got a really good friend, Mike Crisafoli, who's a big supporter. There's so many people. Our athletic director, Yvonne Wade, she's just a big supporter. She's a pro coach AD. She really wants us to, have the reins to our program. I was just named the assistant AD here at CSN, so I'm thankful for that. So I get to be involved in all the other sports and work on game day stuff. My coaching staff, Coach Tracy, Coach P, Coach Lee. I mean, I cannot do this by myself. Our trainer, Brett Taylor, that's one thing I think that is very different from whether it's high school or semi-pro or whatever it is colleges that have athletic trainers, and most of them do, obviously. They're such a big part of the team, and Brett Taylor is such an amazing part of our team. He's an assistant coach in my mind. So we just can't do all this stuff by ourselves. And of course, a great relationship with the men's coach helps. And we just hired a new volleyball coach. I was lucky enough to be on that search committee. So, that coaching fraternity at the sports, each individual sport has what they do, but no, I couldn't do this. And it goes all the way back to having an opportunity at Bourne High School and Joe Bryant giving me like I said, off one phone call 3 days later, I'm his assistant coach. And he told me on day two, he said, "You're running practice tomorrow." I'm like, "What?" And I ran a practice just like I did with Bourne JV girls. I'm like, defensive slides with your hands behind your back and, just pitch and fill and all these goofy little 3-on-2, 2-on-1s. And Joe giving me an opportunity. My players, I've had two former players. Herb Gibson, who played minor league basketball for me, was at a game the other day, and he played at the University of Michigan. He was a Wolverine. He showed up. Trevor Lawrence, I mentioned before, played at New Mexico State. Sorry, he showed up. I just like former players that are guys, pros, still showing up and showing support. Dewan Tate, the list goes on. When we go to Arizona, one of my top players I've ever coached, Dewan Tate, who played in China. Every single time we go down, he'll host the team, pizza, whatever it is. That's a former player from 15 years ago that still wants to
Wow.
support what we do. So it's yourself, like I said, Steve Burgos, there's so many guys, Richie Fonts, and of course all the guys, the Wareham guys, my guy Spider, Eric Lopes. Eric Lopes comes to Vegas 3 times a year. I mean, it's my guy. It doesn't stop, man. It's that Southeast Massachusetts community molded me as a person. Of course, I grew up on the Cape, spent a lot of time in New Bedford and Dartmouth and the leagues, and um, all that stuff kind of built who I was because character matters back there. And in a big city out here, there's a lot of coaches that character doesn't matter. And I just tried to bring some of that New England um, mentality out here. So everybody who had anything to do with my journey is appreciated beyond what they probably realize.
Well, Coach, believe it or not, you made an impact in my life because look what I'm doing now. And
I
all
know. I
began
love
because
that.
of you. So,
Yeah.
I owe you a debt of gratitude for that. And
Yeah.
you have an open invitation to come on my show anytime you want. Anytime.
I
Anything
love
you
it.
want to do, I got you. I got your back. You know what I mean?
I
And
appreciate it. The only thing I'm going to say is, though, if you get to Vegas, this is our podcast. So I got a podcast. and this is our studio, and it holds 3 people. So we got to get you to Vegas and sit right in that chair and get you on the Doo and Foo show. So you got to get out to Vegas. We got to find a
I'm
way.
going to get out there. I'm definitely going to get out there. You got that, my friend. Well, you know
Let's make
what,
it
Dan? I
happen.
want to thank you so very much for coming on my show. And you know, it's been great. You know, reliving some memories. We had some
Yeah,
good times.
yeah, yeah.
And again, even though I want to thank you for all the people out here in Massachusetts and the local area for giving us what you gave us. And it's something that I will never forget. And again,
Awesome.
you have an open invitation anytime you want to come on. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, my friend. Thank
Great. Yeah.
you for being
No, I
here.
appreciate it. Yep, I appreciate it, and
Folks,
all of that goes both ways. Is I appreciate you too,
you
and
got that, my friend. Folks,
thanks for giving me
thank
a
you.
chance with a random ABA team just to come in and do what you did. You
Right.
did a fantastic job, and proud of you too. So let's keep it going, both
Thank
of
you.
us.
Thank you so much. Folks, as you can see, I've had the pleasure of having my friend Dan Savage, who's a head women's coach of College of Southern Nevada. And it's been a great time. You made my day, my friend. Thank you for coming
Awesome.
on. Take care. God bless.
All right,
Again,
take care.
folks,
Thank you.
I have my man, Dan Savage on. He's a head women's coach of the College of Nevada and Southern Nevada. And it's been a great time. And right now, stay tuned because we got another guest coming on in about 5 minutes. But you know, it's great when you do these type of things, you get to meet so many people. You know what I mean? Like doing the podcast, there's so many podcasts out there that I become good friends with, and you know, I have a great producer. And it's been a great all the way around. And again, I want to thank Dan Savage. I mean, here I am in my very first broadcasting was being the color commentator for the Boston Frenzy. I get to meet Joe Bryant. I mean, you got to be kidding me. You know what I mean? To have that opportunity. I mean, we were friends, but I mean, to give me that responsibility to be able to do that, and I had a great time. You know, it was great for the local people because you had local athletes out here playing with the Boston Frenzy. I mean, you guys have seen the N1. You know, the helicopter. We got to see him every day. You know what I mean? Spider. You know, I was just watching them on TV doing all kind of crazy things. The tour, the N1 tour, and then the next minute there's a press conference. Then the next minute I'm doing broadcasting the games, and it was a joy, a privilege, and what a great time. And you know, again, Joe Jellybean Bryant was a true gentleman, and I had a great time. I got to know him pretty well, and I kind of wish I had more interaction with him than I did, but I got to know him very well, and it was a great time. And place was packed, and it brought a lot of joy to the community and the surrounding areas, and get to see all these people you've been watching on TV, and they're right in front of you. You know what I mean? Kind of like living live in life. You know, Moses Malone's son, and Troy Brown from Providence, and my boys, Marcus Rose and Marcus Heltman. I mean, it was a great thing, man. It was great. And I've been blessed, and it's been a fun ride so far, and it looks like it's going to go a little bit further. So, you know, stay tuned. We're going to be having another guest coming on. Oh, this one, I better get ready for this one. This is going to be Ed Rush, former 32-year veteran NBA official. This is going to be a show of shows. I'm so looking forward to having him coming on because I am an official, not to the level that he is, of course, but we're going to delve into, you know, his career and his personal experiences and all that. So again, I want to end it right here and right now and get ready for show number 2. Again, I want to thank you guys for tuning in to Sports Wave Network and my show, Sports Corner with Conn Man. I want to thank you guys. Take care. God bless. I'll see you all next week. Thank you. I got that.